And here we are for round two with the third cup of coffee. Again, not as good as the second cup of coffee, but still good. Still good. Yes, we would like to play first. And this hand, while not terribly exciting, is certainly keepable. It's got a fox to pressure, Herman to provide a little more pressure. If we hit another land, we can at least get a flyer down, and if we're not hitting lands, we're hitting things we can cast. Which is good. I think you usually want werewolves in decks where you can flip them, whereas our deck is kind of depending on our opponents to flip them. But I'm kind of okay with just having a 3-mana 2/3 that may have some upside. Also, it makes your opponents, like, if they have counter spells, kind of feel stupid. Because, yeah, they can counter your spell, but you're going to draw cards. It's never a bad thing, drawing cards. Alright. I probably still want to go with the Fox. We can't block that, but that's okay. Now they've got to decide if they want to trade it off. This card can be scary. I've seen people do things like put a skin invasion on it, sack it, draw some cards, do some things. Like the vampire deck can be terrifying, but it can also just kind of fizzle relatively quickly. That seems a bit senseless to me. You built your own 3/3, but I've just got one. Is there a chance I want to double block that? I don't think so. It's probably a bad idea to go racing the werewolves deck. But I can decide to block next turn if I want to. You're going to discard an alms. At that point we start... No? Okay. So I can play 2 dudes and get some blocks in. And I think be relatively happy with that. Ideally this doesn't die. Like that would clearly be best. But I kind of feel like as long as we keep one of our werewolves alive, we're in pretty good shape here. I think we are no longer the beatdown. We are setting ourselves up a bit to get 2-for-1 with a combat trick. But they've already 2-for-1 themselves in the negative side with the Pale Rider discarding this. So they may not even attack here. If they don't attack here, we just absolutely flip all the dudes. Okay, well that's actually really good for us because it lets us decide what's going to trade for what. So we can do something like trade off the Cathar here, double block this, which has to be double blocked anyway, and then he can decide which one to leave us with. It kind of doesn't matter. Like either of these flipping is a pretty big game. And then we've still got this to trade with this, so it kind of wipes the board, but it leaves us with one of 2 werewolves. And I am again tempted to just flip this guy. I don't hate attacking and casting the emissary. Or the Reaper. Yeah, I think I actually like that better. I'm going to attack with Herman, hold this back to block, and play the Reaper. They've got 2 cards left. They're going to have to be 2 pretty good ones to get me. Okay. Well, here, I think we're happy enough to flip unless he's going to allow this fox to trade for his guy. Which I don't think he is. Like, that's 6 damage. That matters. Okay, I'm happy to get that off the board. That card can be very scary. Alright, yeah, I'll flip him here. Like, if he's got an instant to cast end of turn, we get to draw a card. Or he can main phase it, which is fine, because we get to draw a card and cast this guy for value. I guess that's the neat thing about Herman, is if you decide you want it flipped and they decide they really don't want it flipped, it's still just fine because you're drawing cards. Well, we probably can't take 1,000,000 damage here unless we can. It's 6, putting us to 5, and then we swing back for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, putting them to 5. But my guess is they're going to be more aggressive than we are, and we should probably just let our boy Herman go here. They've still got 2 cards. But us taking 3 and then swinging back for 6 is a pretty big game. We could also draw a tenacity and it's just game over. Or not. So again, we hit them for 6, and then next turn we can potentially swing for lethal. They've got to pull 5 damage out of somewhere, which they could by stealing one of our guys. The good news there is if they do, we can block one of our spirits with the Gloom Widow if we have to. This also means drawing a True Faith Censor next turn is just lethal. I could also be a bit more careful and just hit for 4. What does that do for my clock? That puts them at 9, and then next turn I can swing for 9. Yeah, I guess there's no reason to get super aggressive here. It's like I can just block that. And like us drawing a tenacity really slams the door shut on all of these shenanigans. Like, basically what I'm scared of is we die to exactly the double strike card if they have that. And I'd rather lose my emissary to that than just lose the game. This is a matchup where I'd rather have Bob Manley or the equipment dude than the Gloom Widow. Okay, he doesn't have it. Now he has to block, right? So there's 6 in the air in this. Yeah, he's got to block. Okay, cool, we got there. Like, Gloom Widow's not doing much as far as blocking flyers, and we're not the aggressor here. So definitely want to get that out, and probably going to get more value out of the Militant Inquisitor than Bob Manley. Oh, I don't even have a Bob Manley. Okay. Oh, we could consider something like the Drogskull Cavalry as a late game option to, you know, potentially win. I don't know that we necessarily need it. Inspector's okay. Gossip Monger's not at its best, but it's a fine blocker too, as long as you don't flip it until you need to block with it. I love Expose Evil. I think we still want Strength of Arms. Although there's an argument that maybe we don't. But I know I want that change. I might want that on the play, just so we have something big we can draw at some point. Our sensors get a little worse because it's easier for them to interact with our dudes. I love Silver Strike. Expose Evil is really more of a tempo play, but it can still do work here if they get an aggressive start and we tap some of their dudes. Yeah, I'm good with this. This looks like something I can get behind. It looks like Levi was in this one. That's one of my regular stream viewers. I know Levi. That's pretty cool. Alright, so how do we feel about this? Pretty good, actually. We have the wombo combo. We've got 1, 2, 3. Like, obviously we need to hit a land, but provided we do, we're in pretty good shape. Even if we don't, we can pop Throbbing Inspector and see if we can find more. And, like, the True Faith Sensor turns this into a hill giant. Like, you gotta spend 5 mana to get that done. You know, 1 for this dude, and 2 for this, and 2 to equip it. It's slow as hell, but a 3/3 Vigilant is actually pretty good. I really liked Throbbing Inspector as a card. It's been better than I thought it would be. It's kind of like an Elvish Visionary. Is that the one on like a little bit of a delayed plan? So we could go for the Sensor Equip plan, or we could play the Cathar. The thing is, we're probably not racing this, but if we hit a land next turn, Herman essentially blanks it. Like, I kind of just want to draw 2 lands in a row, and we're super happy. Cathar Inspector. It's icky. Alright, so let's just hit lands after lands. Flood me. Alright, and we hit the land. Cool. That means we're going in. And I think it means we're playing Herman, because if they miss a play again, like they're missing black mana, we're in pretty good shape. There's an argument, and I think it may actually be a good one to hold the Cathar back, because if they go land thing you can't block, I probably want to trade this off for the Vampire. So I think we're just going in with Inspector Gadget here, and then playing Herman. And I think being relatively happy with that. Because the downside of getting hit for 5 against a deck that's very aggressive is actually very real. If they don't have it, we missed out on 2 damage. That's not the end of the world. If they do, I get to feel like a genius. Because they can make us trade this for their 4-drop. Cool, I'd do that anyway. Hey look, it's the you can't block guy. I am a genius. So we've got the option now to pass with the clue up, which I actually think I like, mainly because we've got Tenacity in hand. We could jam out a Cathar, which also isn't terrible. What are they doing against a 3/5, and what are they doing against us hitting lands? I guess I should probably just play the stuff I've got. They're color screwed. So, like, if they have another one of the Vampires, we still don't care. We'll happily trade off a Cathar for it. This is blanking that. It does blanket more if I get the other thing, but I think as long as I have plays, I should probably make them. Right? Because Tenacity's kind of our late game surprise gotcha thing. And we've already got him on a 19-turn clock with Throbbing Inspector. And, like, God forbid they don't attack next turn. That'd be fantastic. Then we could, and we hit a land, we could attack in with Tenacity and get so much value. Delicious, delicious value. There's also a slight argument for just pop this looking for the land drop and let home slice flip, but I still feel like that's a little weak to another duelist. And like I said, this deck is predominantly relying on our opponents to flip our werewolves for us. Hey look, another duelist. Hey look, a Duskwatch recruiter. I think now is the time to do the thing. We've weathered two of them. I do need to hit a land drop if we're going to keep playing Magic. And if I do, I'll probably run out the recruiter, which means I should have tapped the planes, right? Yeah. We can pass and have a 3-5 and be all right with it. I think that's the direction I want to go. It wouldn't have been terrible just to play another Cathar, but I kind of want to make sure we're still hitting those land drops. Maybe I'm just being greedy and don't need to be. Like, the way I lose this game is multiple duelists. We've already beat 2. They've got to have some black cards in hand, right? I would think. And they may not be able to flip this back. And as long as we hit a land drop, we're happy about it. I guess even if we don't, we're getting closer to a land drop, which is not a bad thing. Could also just run out the sensor with the idea that once I equip that to this, I've got a 3-5 anyway. So there's a land drop, so I get to look a bit like a genius. Yeah, I should have tapped the white, obviously, but I'm just going to run out the recruiter. If they're starting to run out of gas, we're fine. And if they've got another vampire, we can still trade for it. Herman's just been sitting here by himself, chillaxing. We can pass with tenacity. We could actually attack and cast tenacity. That seems like it would be pretty hard to beat. But I think flipping these werewolves and vomiting some stuff out on the board is probably a good idea. I do want to keep tenacity up. So I'm not going to make a thing. And I'm not going to activate home slice. Because next turn attacking with these and casting tenacity seems really good. But like, there may be things where he's like attacks in and uses a trick to do a thing, or maybe he's going to cast a 5 damage spell on this guy and we decide we'd rather just save it. Okay. This is probably to flip our guy back, I guess. No? Alright. I like everything that's happening here. So we can just spew some dudes out and get in some attacks. I think first off, we attack and try to use tenacity, right? Because if we do that, they're just not winning. What if they don't block? Well, then we just spew out some guys. I guess I could just attack with these two, which makes it a little less obvious that I have it. And then I could spew out like one guy or something. We can cast this for 3 and then this for 2 and I guess be pretty happy. And then just cast the equipment next turn and equip it. This gives us great blocks. Go, go, werewolves, go. All right, you got me. So why would I not attack in here in Tenacity? Because we may as well just eat a dude for free. Like, why get greedy here? Like, if he wants to sacrifice the wolf, that's just fine. Oh, he can't because he doesn't have the thing with the stuff. So got to be a little careful. What are we actually worried about? It might be this guy rather than the wolf. Like, that is double strike. It can kill a thing. But what's the scariest creature he has? It's probably still the wolf. Like, I think we're just going to attack and play Tenacity next turn. And probably just win the game. It depends on what our opponent has, obviously, but we shall see. Something that can't block probably isn't going to do it for you. I mean, it might, but it's probably not. So I have two things unblocked. If it's these, then we're getting through for 4, but we're gaining so much life. And we can even cast that dude afterwards or move the thing around. I think it's just time to go for it. We can also attack and pass and then untap and block all of his stuff. Like, I was assuming he's casting another creature. We may just be able to kill him here. But I was going to cast Tenacity. Come back. I still haven't gotten to cast this card. All right, that'll do us there. And I'll see you in the finals in just a moment.